Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
I Shouldn't Be Alive thread. Share stories of people you know and personal events that have almost caused death. Includes any major injury, coma, car crash, etc. Just some point in your life that you were closest to death, and if it affected your life at all. B17. Coming out of a diner for breakfast, maybe 11 a.m. Terrible intersection. I have to cross over 2 lanes of traffic to get to my side. Wait for traffic to die down. A truck comes and slows down to let me out. Pull out. As I do, the truck speeds up and matches my speed. I slow down, he slows down. I speed up, he speeds up. He won't let me get in his lane. I'm driving on the wrong side of the road, desperately trying to get past the truck. Suddenly, oncoming traffic starts up again, and an 18-wheeler starts barreling towards me. Still can't get past the truck. He's not letting me in. Still driving on the wrong side of the road. About 5 seconds from collision with the 18-wheeler, I floor it as fast as I can, make it in front of the truck and into the right lane. Closest I ever came to dying was scary as shit.
Parents grew up in cities, but had heavy rural influence growing up. Lots of relatives and acquaintances living in the country, we would frequently go to relatives' farms and so on. Consequently, they grew up with the firm, ingrained idea that nature does you good, boy. They're full city dwellers, but every now and then they get the urge to stomp on some cow shit and discuss relative air freshness. It's 2012, and I've barely entered puberty. State we live in has been going through a huge drought for a few years. Suddenly, it's over. Huge torrential rains for months on end. Local reservoirs and dams are full and overflowing. The nature does one good bug bites mom and dad. They decide to take me to see a dam overflowing because, der nature. How a bloody man-made dam overflowing constitutes nature is anyone's guess. And they jumped on any excuse to grab my pale bookworm ass out of my bedroom. Drive 1 hour to arrive at a place where we can see the excess water flowing. I look at the muddy, violent water flowing through a riverbed of gravel and huge rock chunks, clearly unimpressed. Wind blows my hat off, runs after it. Into the water I go before mom and dad even understand what's going on. Water is too fast and turbulent and gets swept up for nearly 200 yards, nearly drowned half a dozen times. Feels like I banged my head and limbs on every single rock and branch on my way. Dad manages to drag my stupid ass out of the water, drives me at Mach 3 to the nearest hospital. Except for a 1-inch scar on my left knee and a ton of scrapes and bruises, I was virtually unscathed.
I used to work for this local delivery company that needed someone willing to work a series of closed-gate communities on bicycles, as they didn't allow non-registered vehicles in or out, and had gotten the local government contract to deliver all federal. And eventually, after about 2.5 years, we were contracted by a company that is basically our local FedEx or Star Trek to deliver for them in those areas too. I have seen some crazy shit, my friends. I don't know if you'll buy what I'm selling, but they're among us. First week of the job is easy. Newspapers, letters, gardens are nice, always turn up on time, always double and triple check house numbers with listed address on packages and letters. Basically antisocial, and I wear dark-tinted sunglasses when I ride anywhere, so nobody tries any small talk with me beyond "scorcher we're having" or "nice day in it," to which I would always reply, "Yeah." One day, a couple months in, I get a job to deliver to a gated mansion in a gated community. I put my earpiece in to listen to music in one ear and still hear people. Looks like a James Bond or Secret Service earpiece. Plain black pants and white dress shirt as I just came to work from ballroom dancing lessons. Ring the bell. Delivery for Sir Anon. Who gave you my address? How did you find me? The dude on the other end of the comm system for the house is freaking out. I speak calmly and clearly to try to calm the dude. Nobody has found you, but I have a delivery for you. Said to wait at the gate, and a built dude in a suit came out and signed a scribble that I couldn't make out. You didn't see anything. You didn't hear anything. The suit tells me in a threatening tone. Have a nice day, I say before getting right the hell out of there. Then the weird shit started. I got a call to deliver a package exactly the same as the one I did the day before. Turn up. Same pants and earpiece, but different white button-up shirt. This old dude is standing in the driveway flanked by 2 built bodyguards in suits. He asks me, are you the one who can get me things? I'm wrong-footed by the whole turn of events, and after an awkward silence I say yes, thinking he means to ask if I'm the delivery man. He hands me a paper with some things written on it and heads back into his house. Have a cursory glance at it, and it has a bunch of weird things like 19 ounces mercury, 145 ounces pig's blood or nearest approximation available, 15 ounces white sage, so on. Just weird specific weights of things that are kinda a little hard to find. Stuff the note in my pocket and decide to talk to my supervisor. Bump into a mate who also works where I do before I see the boss and talk to him about it. He dabbles in occult and sci-fi stuff and says that he can get me that stuff by the evening. I say I don't even know if I'm going to deliver it. I mean, it's not like we talked about pay. He says if I buy the pig's blood from a butcher at the mall, he'll pay for the other stuff and see what happens. We'll split anything he gives us afterwards. Get everything together, return that evening and ring the bell. The old man asks how it's possible I have what he asks for so quickly, and even come up himself to check the bag's contents before suit number 2 steps in front of him and inspects it first. With vague surprise, he nods to the old dude. The old dude stares me down, and I'm listening to some chill music and my sunglasses don't give much away, but he says, "Wait here, I'm going to weigh it." I stand almost perfectly still for what must have been like 20 minutes as about 6 songs passed as I stood there. Old dude comes back out chuckling. "You're good, I'll give you that. You're really damn good," he says. A suit gives me a burlap coin purse like from D&D. "I'll have more requests later," he says, and turns to go inside. So I look into the sack, and there are a bunch of metal coins that look like they're dull steel blank coins. No markings other than indentations all around the edge. Go show my friend. Friend flips his goddamn lid when he sees them and pays me about a fortnight's pay if I'll give him the coins. He tells me they're silver, and I have to do more jobs for that guy. He paid us like several $1,000s in silver for $70 worth of stuff from the science classroom supplies outlet, the local hippie greenie shop, and some pig's blood. Tell him that we should value them and split what they're worth. He finally settles on getting them valued and then paying me half in order to keep them. It ends up being less than a fortnight's wages, so I feel like a moron, but I agree to do more work for the old dude if he asks. Get a membership at the outlet store, and make sure there is nothing I can't buy on short notice. Weird background checks to buy sodium and all that, but I'm cleared. By the next time I get a package for the old dude, my friend from work has quit his job and left town, deleted his social media, and I didn't have his phone number, so he might as well have vanished off the face of the planet. Get a list like last time, mostly weird herbal shit, and I have to go to an Oriental Emporium way out of Dodge to get it, but I deliver first thing the next morning and get another bag of coins. Take them into a pawn shop and get told they're just silver-plated, so I decide not to sell them. And the dude behind the counter changes his tune as soon as I try to walk away. He gives me exactly as much as he quoted me last time. Talk to my father about it and he gets spooked. Tells me I might be into something dangerous. Starts talking about the Illuminati and stuff. Say I'll be careful. In hindsight, I should have listened to him. The next time I turn up, the old dude is furious. "You're not the man, you deliver it all, but I met him and he doesn't know about it at all. Who are you?" I try to ride my bike away. His buff goons in suits knock me off my bike and beat the shit out of me, and then break all my fingers. Eventually they get tired of kicking my crying, bleeding ass on the concrete and throw my bike into a park pond. I limp out of the closed gate community, and not one person is to be seen. Even the security gate only has one dude, and I tell him to call an ambulance, and he does. The next few days were a blur. I quit my job, moved back in with my dad, and didn't leave the house for about a month. I tried to press charges, but after the 3rd attempt and finding the report and gone missing again, I figured I better not mess with someone who has strings in the police station. Now I work in a low responsibility position for an after-school care program for special needs kids. I have chronic anxiety, and most of my socializing is done online. I might go to uni if I build up the confidence. Sometimes I go most of the day not thinking about it, but when I do, a lead brick sits in my stomach and I feel ill. Don't ever let misunderstandings happen with crazy people. I'm lucky to be alive.
This happened about 2 months ago. I was crossing the street at my college campus when some piece of shit ran a red light and hit me. Dude was going like 30. I flew around in the air for like 4 seconds. It felt like 6. My first thoughts in the air were that I just died. I landed on my face, split my lip open in 2, lost my 2 front teeth, and broke my nose. I also felt something shatter against my knee. Turns out it was that idiot's side view mirror. I get up immediately after getting hit. People who saw me get hit are freaking the fuck out. I'm walking away just fine. Start bleeding from my mouth. No broken bones or internal damage. Not even any scrapes or bruises anywhere else. It just looks like someone hit me in the face with a bat. The reason I got up so fast was because I was about to start attacking the driver. The driver is an old bastard. I was heated, but I kept my cool and sat there until the paramedics got there. Considering how I got hit, I guess I shouldn't be alive. Oh, and these are my teeth that came out when I hit the ground.
Around 3 to 4 years ago, back porch of my house faces a barn. Girlfriend at the time is pretty well versed in the paranormal. Or so she claims. I'm not a believer. We usually spend our nights drinking, talking, listening to music, etc. on the back porch facing the barn. She tells me there is a woman's spirit around my barn. Woman wants to tell me something. Girlfriend claims she knows what it is but won't tell me because it's not her place. I blow it off, thinking girlfriend is just messing with me. One night girlfriend leaves around 1 or so. About 15 minutes after she left, I heard a noise by the barn like thunder. Not from the sky, from the woods behind the barn. Then another loud noise that sounds like what I can only describe as a boulder, as large as a house rolling over a forest. Lasts a few seconds. See women at the edge of the woods float quickly to behind the barn. Shit myself with fear. Girlfriend calls immediately after that and tells me that some weird shit might go on later, but not to worry about it. She had protected the house and it can't come closer than the barn. I beg her to tell me what the woman wants me to know. She never does. Claims it's not her place. I find tied knots, protective knots, around the back porch all the time. Or did till we broke up. The one time I had the balls to ask the woman what she wanted, I went to the barn and laid in a lounge chair in front of it. Felt nothing but my own fear at first. Something unnatural was around me, but I didn't understand what it wanted. Then I felt this overwhelming feeling of peace and literal warmth. I never did figure out what she wanted. Every now and again when I'm out there at night, I will feel a bit uneasy, but nowhere near what it used to be. I'm convinced my girlfriend did something. We broke up eventually for other reasons. Still wondering today what that woman wanted me to know.
I was in elementary school when we had this stupid practice when, after completing a series of math problems, we would run around the schoolhouse. Maybe the teachers thought that when children run and have some fresh air, they perform better or whatever. Anyway, it was a cold winter day and lots of ice and snow all around the schoolhouse. There was a kind of balcony and a staircase in front of the front door. The whole house was built kind of old school way since it was around 50 years old, after the Winter War anyway, or so I'm told. So there I'm completing these series of quizzes and I'm free to go run around the building. As I'm about to go, I notice one of my classmates has completed the tasks at the same time and is about to go as well. Being kids like we were, of course we're going to compete to see who's going to run around the building first. So my friend gets ahead of me and takes the stairs down and is running fast towards the corner. I figure I'm never going to outrun him if I take the stairs as well. So I jump off the balcony. Only problem being that my left foot gets hooked to the railing and I flip myself over, dropping head first to the icy ground below. There was a good 2 meters or so fall. I hit my head hard and lose consciousness. It was really strange. I saw bright colors for a moment but didn't feel anything. As I mentioned, it was a freezing cold winter, and I might have frozen to death if it wasn't for my friend who noticed me lying there when he came back. He got me awake, and I stumbled back to the classroom. I explained the whole thing to the teacher with a slurred speech, and he just checked if I was fully conscious. After school, I felt really strange and out of place, also very tired. I wasn't sure what had happened. I wondered many times after that whether or not I actually survived the fall or not. Sure, it seems silly now, but the thought still persists.
This is probably not a near-death thing, but it's something very, very strange that happened to me once, and I have no idea why it happened, or how. Still not sure what to think about it. Be 21. I live in a dorm room by myself, no roommates. I don't know any of the other people in the dorm. Sleep on a mattress on the floor, no other furniture. Regular evening. Watch some shows on my laptop. I finally get to sleep around 3 a.m. Wake up and it's pitch black. No lights in the room, but outside the window is pitch black too. I feel very rested, so I can't figure out how long I've slept. Can't be just an hour or two. Why is it still dark? Try to figure out what time it is. Laptop won't start. No power, and the battery is dead. My cell phone won't work. It's been charging, but the battery is all gone. No other way to figure out what's going on. Walk out into the corridor. Pitch black. Can't even see my hand. Fumble my way over to the stairs. Get down to ground level. Wearing just shorts and a t-shirt. Step outside. Pitch black everywhere. Streetlights dead. Every window in every building is dark. WTF is happening? No idea what to do. Can't see a single person outside. No, there's a 24/7 gas station and shop down the road. Maybe a 15-minute walk. Decide to go there. All the streetlights and all houses look dead on the way. Get closer to the gas station. I can see the lights are on, and it looks open. Go inside, everything is like normal. One girl working the night shift. 2 other customers inside. Check the clock on the wall. It's 2:25. WTF. Buy a soda and some candy. Ask if that clock is correct. Yeah, it is. It's 2:25 a.m. Yeah. Confused, but I just left and went back to the dorm. On my way back, the streetlights suddenly came back on. Lights working in my building again. Power back in my room too. Charge phone and laptop. Realize it's the next night. I randomly slept for 23 hours straight and woke up in the middle of the most epic power outage ever. I was definitely not on drugs.
I have one. Not greentexting though, because screw that. When I was around the age of 4 or 5, my parents used to go out late at night to bars to do things. When they would get home, they were usually trashed, so they would end up falling asleep right on the couch in the living room, unable to make it upstairs to their bedroom. On one particular night when they had done this, I had a nightmare. Being a kid, I couldn't rationalize that I had no reason to be scared, so I went and tried to go into my parents' bed, which I did from time to time. Of course they weren't there, they were on the couch downstairs. But I hadn't known this at the time because they had never told me that they went out drinking late at night. Being a kid, I immediately woke up my sister, 2 or 3 at the time, and told her that our mother had been kidnapped. So what did we do? We opened the door and went outside. It was just our luck that it wasn't locked, as our parents forgot to re-lock it when they entered the house. We ended up going outside and knocked on the doors of our neighbors, hoping someone would open up. Eventually, I saw a car that I believed was my grandmother's. We went up to it and a man inside told us to get in. It was at this moment that my sister and I both could have been kidnapped, but luckily for us, we were safe. Someone had called the police, and thankfully enough, it was the policeman's car that we got into. He drove us down to the station, and our parents eventually came for us.
I've had a few. Be kid, have meningitis, survive. My feels when still remember the nurse trying to trick me into asking what my favorite show was. I even remember replying Digimon Keck before sticking some giant shit in my back. Be a kid, playing with a friend. Decide to stand on top of a ball for some reason, slip and hit my head on the edge of a sharp glass table. Only open head and have to get stitched up. Still have a scar to this day. Be kid, playing with cars and the usual. According to my parents, I freeze and don't seem to be breathing. My parents' friend, Rip Goodman, takes me, runs outside and pats my back. Somehow become normal again. Only remember being outside. Be around 11 years old, roller skating with some guys. Downhill ahead starts to gradually decline more and more. Can properly rollerblade but suck at braking. Start to gain a lot of speed. Oh shit.png. Try to turn left to a horizontal parking lot. Can't due to speed and almost lost balance. End up hitting a wall instead of going downhill, which leads up a high cliff. Saved by a few centimeters. And now just recently, riding a motorcycle with my girlfriend, going at only 55 kilometers per hour. A car is in front of me, but I have a pretty good distance from it. As the moment the lights turn yellow, the car slams his brakes. My instincts react and I brake and then try to dodge by the left side, hit my knee directly into the car. I left a huge dent on it, and I think I also hit my head on the ground. My girlfriend is fine with some minor road rash. I don't break my knee God knows how. Guess it's from heavy squats since I powerlift. Been 4 months and my knee still hurts despite no ligaments, bones, or whatever being injured. And that's all I remember. I've had other few close calls with my motorcycle, but dodged that shit. Just that time I was commuting and got caught out of the blue.
Quite lucky.
Yep, just hope I didn't run out of luck yet. I practice a few potentially dangerous activities like riding motorcycles, boxing, and powerlifting. Trying to break a personal record on bench pressing alone is scary if your hand happens to slip or a muscle fails and you end up with crushed ribs and smashed organs.
I was about 8 or 9 years old. My sister and a couple of our dumbass friends decided to build an elaborate ramp for our bikes on the lot directly opposite to our house. It's made of bricks, planks, and other things found on the lot. They had begun building something, but then stopped. Nothing's there to this day. The ramp's point is that you ride on these super narrow planks, and you need to turn a lot. It was quite difficult, but fun. The only problem was we built the ramp to lead straight into the street. You see where I'm going with this. Be riding on it while my sister and friends cheer me on because I'm about to be the first of the group to complete the challenge. Make it and get into the road. Suddenly turn head to my right to see a car going way faster than they should in that area. Instead of riding faster so I can't get out of its way and into my house's garage, I hit the brakes immediately, so now I'm exactly in front of the car. The car also hits brakes immediately, loud screeching noises and car horn that I can still hear in my head. The car stops a few centimeters from me while I look terrified right at the driver. Play it off cool and get out of the way. The car drives off. My friends and sister are still completely silent and horrified. The smell of burnt rubber fills the air. There's still a faint hint of tire tracks after about 10 years. Also, apparently when I was a baby, I fell and started rolling in a flight of stairs and came out completely unscathed, but I obviously don't remember that.
Be 8 or 9. Having fun doing the whole helium balloon business. This one I got from McDonald's. Sucking it in. Doing funny voices. Start to take as much in as I can to make my voice as high-pitched as possible. Start to zone out. Can't focus. Can't hear anything. And lips go all white. Dad punching me in the leg as hard as he could to get me to take a breath. Do, after a few punches, and I regain consciousness. That feel when I almost exited bagged myself with a McDonald's balloon. Dropped on my head as a few-week-old baby. Somehow fine. Was dropped from quite a height directly on my head. About 12, messing around in some caves out to sea. The sea comes in too quickly, forced to balance on a soaking rock knife edge between crashing waves on either side. Make it back, just before the water fills the cave. Rocked my cot off of the top of a dresser as a baby, managed to do a full 360 and land perfectly on the base during the fall. There's a few other ones, but I can't really remember them. The usual stuff like narrowly avoiding getting hit by a car and so on. No doubt the closest was the balloon though.
What kind of dumbass parents did you have to think it was a good idea to put a baby's cot on top of a goddamn dresser? Please tell me you knocked the fuck out of whichever parent did that when you found out.
B12. Exploring the creek with friends. Creek is filled with rusty car parts, sharp metal pointing up, pieces of broken concrete and other hazardous items. Walk down a certain distance. Decide to exit the creek. Steep climb, about 15 to 25 feet. End up behind staples. Folded boxes on the ground at the top. Once we all get up, I get on one of the boxes and act like I'm about to sled down the hill as a joke. Box starts to slide. Try to get off, but it's too late. Momentum drags me down the hill. Hit tons of bricks and concrete. This is one of the most dangerous parts, riddled with rusty car parts and spiky metal poking through the ground. Eventually hit a concrete slab slightly submerged in the water. Get up. Try to hold back tears as my friends rush to help me. Climb out of the creek, feeling no pain but scared as hell. I guess it was because of an adrenaline rush, but I don't know. Feel a sudden pain in my right knee. Something falls from my leg. It's a rock that was jammed in my knee, messing up my leg. Blood starts to run quickly down my leg. Still have the scar, pick-related. Don't know how I avoided that other shit, though.
Here's mine, though no one ever believes me. 4 or 5 years ago, be driving home from work. Like an idiot, I don't wear seatbelts. As I'm about to go through an intersection with a green light, someone's arms reach up from the back seat, wrapping around my torso with an iron grip. Don't even have time to note before I get T-boned on the passenger side by a truck running the red. Car gets screwed up badly, spun out enough to make me dizzy. Those arms holding me in tight. As soon as I come to a stop, my arms relax. A woman's voice says in my ear, "Wear your damn seatbelt, love. I won't do this again." Said it in a slightly annoyed but soft, almost motherly way. Barely get a glimpse of her in the rearview mirror before she lets go and disappears. Never seen her before in my life. I never fail to wear my seatbelt now. Thank you, mysterious spook lady.
Holy shit, I had an extremely similar experience. Be about 13, walking to the Dollar General store with my friend. We were right across the store. All we had to do was cross one more busy intersection. The crosswalk said we had only 6 or 7 seconds left to cross. My friend decided not to cross, but me being a dumbass decided to cross. Didn't account for the massive truck speeding halfway down the intersection. Mere seconds before I walked directly into its path, I get jolted back. It felt like someone grabbed my shoulders and pulled me back. I was on the ground, thinking my friend pulled me back. He was still across the street. I hear a man's voice say, "I'm only gonna help you one more time." I tried to tell my friend what happened. He doesn't believe me. Nobody does.
This kind of reminds me of something that happened to me that also has a mysterious guardian angel type of figure. Work as a courier in Manhattan. Get sent a lot of information by text that I have to write on my manifest. I often do this while walking to save time. Prime area I cover is between 40th and 55th on Broadway, pretty much the heart of Times Square, busy at all times. Finish writing something at a red light, and I go to put my pen back in my pocket, but I drop it. Since I'm on the curb, it falls into the street and I bend over to pick it up. As I'm about half bent, someone grabs my shoulder hard and pulls me back before I can bend all the way into the street. Just as a bus about 1.5 inches off the curb barrels past at like 40 miles per hour trying to beat the yellow light. Look behind me. There's this sharp-dressed, maybe between 25 and 30-year-old blonde dude in Wayfarers. The sun is almost directly behind his head and he's flanked in a literal halo. I can't see him clearly. He grins at me and I smile back and thank him. It's just weird, man. Whoever that person was had incredibly fast reflexes and was super benevolent.
Super benevolent? I think he just did something anyone would do, which is reaching over and pulling some dipshit's head out of the way of an oncoming bus. Nothing benevolent about it.
I guess it was the way he appeared to me and what it did for me. I've never been in a situation like that where it's like if someone doesn't intervene in 2 seconds maximum, I'm only assuredly gonna die, at best have really bad cranial damage. And the way I turned back toward the west side at dusk and the sun was setting like directly behind his head. What I'm saying is, he looked like a literal guardian angel and acted like one.
I didn't die, obviously, but I was in a lot of pain for a day or so. Back when I was younger, I had medication for iron deficiency. I couldn't swallow tablets since I was only young then, and I'd pretty much been relying on liquid paracetamol and whatever if I was in pain. They initially gave me liquid iron supplement, but it tasted foul and made me heave, so I gave up taking it and opted for tablets instead. I kept trying to swallow them, but couldn't. I was on quite a high dosage anyway, since I was very anemic. To the point if it was much lower or continued to go down, I'd be hospitalized. Upon being unable to take the tablets normally, part of me decided it was a good idea to just chew them up. Iron supplements are apparently quite easy to overdose on anyway, especially when you're already on such a high dosage. Chewing them up gives you the whole dose immediately. So long story short, chewing up the meds overdosed me. I was home alone and my parents were working. I've always been paranoid about my health since I'm a bit of a hypochondriac, so when I started getting bad stomach pains, I Googled if it's okay to chew them. Nope, it isn't. I start freaking out, and as soon as my mom gets home, I tell her the tablets gave me a bad stomach ache but didn't tell her I overdosed. I was low-key depressed at the time, and I sort of accepted that I could die. Nobody would know what happened, right? She took me to the out-of-hours doctors, and they put me on new meds and didn't even know I overdosed. Aside from being in a lot of pain, death would have been a lot easier. Not much happened, but doing my research I found out it would have been easy to off myself had I taken a couple more of the tablets. I'm glad I'm off those now because I was a danger to myself with them. I didn't necessarily nearly die, and I didn't cheat death, but it could have easily gone differently.
Me, 37, at work, Friday afternoon. Get really sick to my stomach. I feel awful. Go home. Can't eat. Barely able to drink water. Sunday? Okay, screw this. Go to hospital. The doc sends me home with stomach med. Just sitting kind of slumped in my chair for 2 more days. Not eating, not drinking, no energy, feeling like shitty McShit. Go to the doctor with my wife for her appointment. The doc takes one look at me, sends me to the hospital to be admitted. Get there, x-ray and lab, descend on me. Doc called ahead for immediate tests. The first test ordered is troponin, comes back at 10-something. Has me transferred out to cardiac doc 50 miles away. Yada yada yada. Nearly died twice, once in heart cath, once on bypass surgery table. 2 months, 4 heart caths, 2 stents, 1 bypass surgery, and 2 bypasses later I'm doing better. But that 2 months I had docs that didn't give a shit if I lived or died. Heart doc I was sent to wanted to send me home to wait for a regularly scheduled appointment because he was pissed at me for getting worse outside of his schedule. Just was going to send me home to die as I was having another MI at the time. If you guys ever get hospitalized, don't just trust the docs, and make sure you have someone on your side who actually cares about you. If I hadn't, I wouldn't be sitting here typing to you numb nuts right now.
Can confirm. My dad's chief of surgery at a major local hospital, and he's always telling me stories about how actually shitty some of the doctors he works with are. He said that they contact him for the wrong reasons and don't contact him when they should. That is, patients' updates post-surgery, old patients readmitted because they're sick again or something else happened, etc. It's really incredible how stupid some people are.
Not that near death, but very well could have been so, I'll post. Be 19 years old, riding with a friend on a trip to buy drugs from a different city. Had lots and lots of drugs in the car. Get pulled over on the highway. We are going to jail.jpg. Friend swallows 4 grams of coke. I swallow 2,600 milligrams Neurontin and about 21 milligram Klonopin, although I dropped a few in the act. Still lots of drugs in the car, both go to jail. Feel normal while being arrested, but my friend is already messed up from the coke. Arrive at the jail an hour after arrest. Starts hitting me. Wake up around 4 a.m. in a drunk tank. Friend is in there with me along with all the meth heads. Apparently I stumbled into the tank and hit my head on the wall and instantly fell over. Meth heads said they checked on my breathing and made sure I wasn't going to die. MITZU, I don't remember any of it. Feel insanely fucked up. No idea where I am or what's happening, but too high to freak out. Eventually puke up a bunch of the drugs in front of all the meth heads in the tank, and they laugh. Last thing I can remember. Woke up by guard next morning about 10 a.m. because I'm getting out. Can hardly stand up but manage to play it cool because I want out of jail. Get out, go sit on a bench outside of jail and call a friend to get me. A friend shows up and gets me, instantly notices a huge knot on my forehead and takes me to hospital against my wishes. Have a concussion. Doctor tells me I could have died from what I had put in my body, but my head will be fine. Stay in hospital most of the day, getting IVs and shit was terrible, but probably a good thing I went. Don't do drugs, kids.
Not sure if related, but as a longtime X-File lurker, I've recently had a near-death experience. I'm an expat worker living abroad and recently was involved in a car accident. It wasn't so bad, and I wasn't hurt horribly badly either. The problem was that I had a severe allergic reaction to some of the meds I received. I guess that info was overlooked, which doesn't surprise me due to the language barrier. Anyway, I was clinically dead for about a minute or two. We've all heard stories and have no idea what's true, but my experience isn't too different. It was an out-of-body experience where my conciseness was in the room above my body. I didn't have the ability to move as far as I know, but I was aware of everything that was happening. I could hear the doc talking about the fuck-up, and I even understood perfectly a language I'm not so good at. I don't believe in heaven or hell anymore. Along with my awareness of the situation, I also had a sense of understanding that I'd just continue on a different frequency. The longer I was dead, the more detached from this plane I became. I started to hear discussions about whether or not I was ready to start. TLDR. I was dead. Almost continued living in a different plane. Snapped back to this reality. Was it a hallucination? Probably. Though what they said all checked out. When I checked afterward.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check the Odyssey and Rumble pages for separate archives of previous broadcasts.